Hey, everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R audio chat for Sunday, January 25th, 2015. I'm sick. I started feeling it coming on last Sunday, and I fought it for the first part of the week. I just told myself I'm going to overcome this. Sickness does not get me down. I will mentally control it. And then as the week went on, I realized I can't control this. I'm just sick. There's nothing left to do but give in and watch Y&R. So that's been the positive. Although I will admit, I feel like I've enjoyed Y&R a lot this week. I've also watched it through a little bit of a cold medicine haze. So I hope that I'm not missing anything big, but I'm gonna still sit down here and just kind of do a low-key chat about the show this week. I meant to look this up before I started, but Y&R got a new head writer a couple of maybe a month or so ago, didn't they? I'm starting to feel it. I feel a shift in the show's writing, and it's a shift in the right direction. I wish I knew the guy's name, but it's been so right on. We're starting to see the emergence of our business storylines yet again. How refreshing is it to even hear the words Newman Enterprises, Jabot, Chancellor, even right down to brash and sassy. I'm loving how Y&R is taking us back into our boardrooms. We're not seeing boardrooms yet, technically, but we're getting back into those companies and watching the drama that unfolds as a result of that. This week, Jill is working with Kane and Lily and Colin to try to get Chancellor out of Victor's clutches, and she goes to him to try to find out exactly what it's going to take to get him to sell. Now, Victor doesn't want to sell, of course. I think his pride is more wrapped up in it than anything. But Newman Enterprises is struggling. He's been hurt by the Bonaventure thing, and he needs to get together some cash. So Jill tries to make her best plea to him. I loved seeing Jill in Victor's office. I loved just seeing her across from him. I loved what she was wearing. I loved her hair. I loved the chemistry between the two characters. I loved that Jill is not afraid of Victor. A lot of women, I think, would be, but Jill's got her own impressive resume behind her, and she's not afraid to go head to head with Victor. I thought it was a great scene. Victor, yet again, for the second time in 2 weeks, writes a large figure down on a piece of paper to indicate cash. Last week he went to Dylan and offered him a bunch of money to relocate his coffee house and kind of buzz off. And then this week he writes down a mystery number on a piece of paper and slides it across the desk to Jill to indicate how much money it would take to buy out Chancellor Industries. I love when they do that, and I can't help wondering, what was the amount? It's impossible to not speculate about. How much do you think that we're talking about here? Are we talking billions? It has to certainly be millions. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Jill's face dropped at realizing how much money Victor's asking for, but it's kind of, I think, he intentionally made it outrageously high, knowing that she wouldn't be able to meet that amount unless someone in the little foursome is able to come up with some money. And Colin is every bit wanting to take Chancellor. He's wanting to work with his wife. I think on some level, he's just also wanting to make Jill happy. So it just so happens as Jill and Colin are wanting to put together this outrageous sum of money to buy back Chancellor Industries, Devon and Hillary are off at a spa. I don't know, were they in Chicago or something? It was originally supposed to be a spa weekend romantic affair getaway for them, but Lily has intruded upon it. She invited herself to go with Hillary, and it's so hard to watch Lily being so sweet to Hillary after all of the animosity that's been going on between these two women for it has to have been the better part of a year now. Lily is so accepting of Hillary and so sensitive, and not only has tried to welcome her into the family as a mother-in-law, which is weird, but as, or no, not mother-in-law, I'm sorry, a stepmom, but is also trying to welcome her into the family and be her friend. And for every bit of kindness that Lily shows Hillary, Hillary feels that much worse knowing what the truth is, which is that Devon is just right across the hall waiting for Lily to leave. I mean, literally, Lily left the room. Within 3 seconds, Devon is knocking at the door, wanting to get at Hillary, and we have yet another sequence very similar to the last time Devon and Hillary got away, where it's, oh, is somebody going to walk in and see them? Because Devon, it's totally inappropriate. He's out in the hall trying to be with her. As soon as Lily leaves the room, he's in the room, on top of her on the couch. It's incredible that they didn't get caught, but of course they didn't. There's a million different moments where they could have, but they didn't. Lily ends up getting called away by Kane to go back to town. Not before there was a moment where Devon's actually in the room. Same thing happened to Neil a couple months ago, but Devon's actually in the room, and Hillary has to distract Lily by telling her a story about how she's decided not to have children with Neil because of her own childhood. And I think it was very genuine. I think Hillary was being honest in that moment, but it was using honesty toward a lie, and that felt sticky and icky. And I don't know how either of those people sleep at night, but Lily does end up leaving, and Devon and Hillary are perfectly fine sleeping together. They're just doing it up in the room. It was actually not a bad lovemaking scene. I rip on Hillary and Devon quite a bit because it's just so wrong, and I can't help but look at everything from a perspective of what would I do, and I just know that no matter how much I wanted someone, I would never betray, never betray in the way that they are. And so I'm hard on them a lot of the time, but I thought that there is depth, and I think there is layering to the story of Hillary and Devon, and it was there in the lovemaking scene. I kind of focused in on it probably a little more even because I'm sick, but I saw the feelings in their eyes. These are two people that have a deep love for each other, but you could also see and feel, you could feel the lust, but you could feel the guilt, and Y&R played this, the way they scored it was just perfect. The music playing over the scene in the bed where they were having sex, the music in the background, it wasn't romance, it was almost a sadness to it. So it was layered. I as they're laying there making love, I thought, oh, she is so totally pregnant right now. I mean, I swear, I think I saw it. I think I saw the moment, the very moment of conception. There's no way that Y&R's talking about her having a child and the whole birth control thing. There's no way any of that is on accident. It's completely relevant to the storyline, and I believe she's going to end up pregnant, and I believe it's going to be Devon's because I saw it happen. I saw the conception this week. And then it's going to be, gee, how did that happen? I was on birth control. I mean, I think maybe YNR pulled out the birth control thing, maybe just so that we could see they weren't being careless about it, but accidents happen. So they're enjoying their romance, their forbidden romance. They're in the hotel room, and meanwhile, Colin is trying to text Devon. He's trying to get a hold of him because the Bank of Devon is going to answer all of Colin's problems. He knows his wife wants to get this company, and he just so happens to know a multi-billionaire who he's blackmailing. So Colin is texting Devon, and Devon actually calls him back on speakerphone with Hillary right there, and Colin is saying, I can tell everyone right now, what's going on with you and Hillary, or you can just come back to town and bring me some money. So, of course, they give in to this. They can't risk the secret getting out. But what happens next, I thought was very interesting and very appealing and very well written. Devon and Colin meet, ironically, at Chancellor Park. Isn't it so weird to think about Devon, who is the inheritor of the Chancellor estate, meeting in a dark, shady part of Chancellor Park at night, giving away a piece for the second time of Catherine's fortune as blackmail money to cover up the illicit affair that he's having with his father's wife. That felt dark, and it felt again, just kind of layered. The thing I liked about that scene was that rather than just handing over the money to Colin and being like, you're a scumbag, Devon kind of made an appeal to Colin, saying, we're family. Lest you forget, I'm the godfather to your two grandchildren. We're related. We're sort of in this together. And I can't believe that you're really continuing to do this to me. Don't you have a conscience? And can't you understand where I'm coming from? I liked that Devon laid out his position for Colin and said, I don't want to hurt Neil. I'm doing this because I don't want to hurt Neil, but all Hillary and I want is what anybody wants, love and to be together. And really what we want is such a simple thing, and it's become so complicated. And even though it's wrong, I did in that scene, hearing his appeal to Colin, feel for the first time in weeks, not an identification, but an understanding or an appreciation for him actually expressing where he was coming from. It was the first time in weeks that I didn't just think it was about dirty sex. I got it for a brief moment. And Colin, in response, he's Stonewall. He just wants the cash. And I also really liked Colin this week. I didn't know him from anything else that he's done, but a couple weeks ago I did look up Tristan Rogers. I think because I read that he re-signed his contract or something, and so I looked him up and I saw, of course, some younger photos of him, and I know he was on General Hospital, but I have a vague recollection of General Hospital from the 90s. I don't know if that's when he was on it. I don't know Tristan Rogers' full resume or whatever, but he's been around for a while, and I kind of have been zeroing in on him a little bit, and I like what he adds to YNR. I like him as an actor. I like what the character of Colin brings to the table. He's smug, and he's unrelenting, and he's snake-like. I believe that he loves Jill, and I think a lot of what he's doing is supposedly in Jill's interest, but I like the dynamic he has with her. He's a good character. Is it just me? I don't know. I liked him. I liked and was a little shocked by the fact that he brings the money back to Jill almost like he's the the breadwinner coming back. He goes to the athletic club and sets up a table where he's got big stacks of dirty money that he reveals by pulling off the top of a silver platter. He has brought Jill the answer to her dreams. He's made her dreams come true right there under a silver platter by revealing that there was this money. The only thing that I thought was a little unnecessary is, like, just as Colin is getting back to the athletic club, Devon's coming there too, and he bumps into Lily and Kane, where Lily says something to him about, hey, did Kane talk to you yet about our idea? We want to buy Chancellor Industries away from Victor, and you're the perfect financier. Will you help us invest in this? And I don't know why. I never thought about it before. Devon turns him down because he's like, I can't. My money's tied up right now. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't easy to liquidate everything he had to liquidate to give the money to Colin. So he kind of turns Lily down, which I'm sure she'll continue to press him for. But I thought, gosh, why didn't they just ask Devon? Why did it even have to be blackmail? Maybe it was Colin's ego needing to present this to Jill. Maybe it's their need to want to cut Lily and Kane out of the picture so that Chancellor belongs to them specifically, or so that they'll have controlling shares. I'm not sure if that's it or what, but I mean, right from the get-go, it would have made sense for Devon to offer to buy it. He was the inheritor of the estate, of the Chancellor estate. Why wouldn't he have made a bargain to buy it out from Victor? Everybody would have been happy. There would have been no blackmail and also no drama. So I don't know if Victor will ultimately end up parting with Chancellor Industries. I think it makes sense. It feels right that he would. It feels right that Jill and I suppose Colin would and Kane and Lily would take over Chancellor Industries, and I like where this is being set up. It's Jabot. We have a real sense for the first time in years, I think, of Jabot and of Newman, and I think we need to have a sense of Chancellor. When have we ever really seen a scene at Chancellor Industries? It's such a huge hole. It's such a huge opportunity. And I think we're going to. I think it's so exciting to me to think about those three companies going head to head, and also to think about their internal drama. There's just so much potential there. And I feel delighted that Y&R seems to be headed in that direction. This week, as Victor continues to try to find out what it is that they're working on over at Jabot that he's going to have to compete with, Victoria chimes in. She comes into Victor's office. He shows her the numbers that the company is in financial straits, and Victoria comes up with the genius idea that in order to find and carve out a market for Newman Enterprises to compete with Ashley's new Miracle perfume or whatever it is, Victoria she suggests revitalizing Brash and Sassy. I'm just so happy about that. I really am. She said the words brash and sassy left Victoria's lips, and through my head cold, all stuffed up, a smile just crawled across my face, and I got giddy. I'm not even kidding you. I got giddy in that moment. I started talking to my screen. I love it. I think that by the time I started watching Y&R, which I'm estimating, I think it was like 1993, Brash and Sassy was already out there. I don't know what year Victoria established Brash and Sassy, but I'm kind of guessing it wasn't too much before I started watching, because when I started watching, it was like the hottest thing. I mean, Brash and Sassy was everywhere. There was little pictures on the wall, and there was I don't know, I seem to remember some kind of weird glass, like they had put behind glass one of the first things of perfume she ever did or something, and I loved hearing the story of the logo. I don't know if I ever knew that she actually used her own lips to create the logo. I don't know that I knew that, but I know it now, and I love it, and I think it's wonderful. I think the idea of not only Jabot and Newman Enterprises going head to head and competing for this market, I think that's exciting, but I also like the idea of Victoria versus Ashley. Ashley knows that Victor wants her secret. She doesn't trust Victoria, and she shouldn't. And she is very suspicious of Victoria's relationship with Stitch. In fact, Victor and Victoria must have put out a press release about Brash and Sassy, and it really set Ashley off, and she started going off on everybody, saying there's a mole in here, and she seems to forgive that it's not Stitch, maybe because she has her own plans for using him. Maybe she just has a soft spot for him. Maybe she thinks she's going to get information from him about Jabot. I don't know why Stitch gets a pass, but she ends up firing Tobias, Victor's mole, and starts asking, questions about who else could be in here. That's mole, and Abby ends up getting revealed that she stole that little sample, and Ashley jumps on her about that, and Ashley wants to know who is spilling the secrets, so she goes to Victor directly, and there's this wonderful scene again in Victor's office where it was, I guess that's what I liked. Ashley's not afraid of him, much like Jill. She doesn't cower to him. She is able to bring it and try to one up him, whether she wins or not. And it was just a really appealing scene. Victor and Ashley in the office having a little tete-a-tete, saying about how they respect each other and playing games, and they're even toasting with a glass of champagne. It was so beautiful. I thought that was wonderful. Ashley leaves the meeting feeling all good about herself. Oh, that she planted information to Victor that he's going to be chasing for a long time. And as soon as she gets back feeling all good, we see a scene. It shoots down to a side of one of the counters at Jabot, and we see that there's a bug in the room, a little recording device, and meanwhile we've got a shot of Victor sitting behind his desk with the headphones on, also enjoying the champagne still. Oh, it was so good! A toast. I love watching people one-up one another. Maybe that's it. I thought it was good. And I tell ya, I think Victoria's in on it every step of the way. We saw those scenes last week where Victoria just happened to be bumbling along in the lab. I bet you Victoria is the one who planted the bug in the first place. And as much as I love you, Ashley, you should have known better. That woman never should have walked in the door. The other storyline that I'm loving, of course, is Phyllis versus Kelly. It has everything. This storyline has everything. Where we picked up last week, we found the blonde wig in Phyllis's bag, and Jack discovered it, confronts Phyllis about it, and he's naturally suspicious, and Jack ended up kind of saying to Phyllis what we were all thinking last week. Is there any chance that Phyllis is doing this and she doesn't know it? So Jack goes to Victor and asks him. It was a good excuse to have a Jack versus Victor scene, but Jack asked Victor, I'm sorry, asked Victor all about what these experimental drugs were that Phyllis has received, and he ends up calling the doctor in to talk to him about it. And meanwhile, Phyllis is completely under the impression that Kelly is setting her up, that Kelly put the blonde wig in her bag, that it's all an elaborate hoax. So Phyllis goes to the athletic club to let Kelly have it, and Kelly is very calm. I gotta be honest with you, Kelly is a little too calm and a little too welcoming and a little too nice and a little too understanding. Kelly sits Phyllis down, decides, I'll arrange for us to have tea together. It was weird. For everything that happened last week and the slap that, Kelly slapped Phyllis and several weeks ago, and just with all of the animosity that's between these two women, it's odd to me that Kelly's, persona or her demeanor would be, I'll just sit. If Kelly's totally innocent, it's odd to me that her demeanor would be like, let me sit Phyllis down and have some tea and we'll be civil and see if we can work this out like ladies, because it was already so far past that. But it was a good talk between the two of them. Kelly is insisting to Phyllis that she did not do this, while at the same time Phyllis is insisting that Kelly did. I thought Kelly made an interesting point during that conversation where she said to Phyllis basically, what have I ever done to indicate that I would even be capable of doing this to you? And I thought that is a really good point. And I think we've all been kind of saying that for the past couple of weeks. Kelly has the motive, but Phyllis has the pattern of behavior. And although I will say Kelly's mom is insane, we sort of saw that with Maureen locking Victoria in a closet and leaving her there. I mean, we know maybe the women in this family are possibly capable, but the next thing we know, Phyllis has left this little tea party and Kelly's in the hospital. She's been poisoned. What? I'm so shocked. It's so elevated that wow. It's twisted and there's twists within all of the twisted twists. I don't know what the truth is. I don't know who's doing this, and I feel it's equally possible that it could be either woman. Jack sits down with Phyllis's doctor, and the doctor has to admit that one of the side effects of the treatment that Phyllis received is that some patients have exhibited questionable decision making. He said they know the difference between right and wrong, but they just justify every action. So that seems to point to Phyllis. But let's be real. Phyllis was totally capable of setting Kelly up, of poisoning Kelly, of all of this prior to the coma. It did not take experimental drugs to display that Phyllis has questionable decision making and doesn't know the difference between right and wrong, or knows the difference but can justify the actions. Phyllis tried to run over Christine and Paul for no other reason than for revenge. Because you have to ask yourself, again, okay, who's benefiting from all of this? Kelly. It's Kelly. But Phyllis has a pattern of doing things just because. just because she's off and she wants revenge. So I don't know. I keep going back and forth. Kelly has decided not to press any charges about the poisoning, but then maybe Kelly doesn't want an investigation because she's got something to hide. The way Kelly went to Jack and Phyllis was there, Kelly goes to Jack and Phyllis and says, I just got out of the hospital poisoned. Phyllis did this. Kelly's continuing to insist. And I just keep floating back and forth. There's been moments for both women where I thought, oh, she's doing it. There was a moment very early in the week where Phyllis put the blonde wig on her head and looked in the mirror and kind of smiled. And I thought, oh, she is nuts. And then there was a moment in the hospital after Kelly was insisting that she didn't want to press any charges where she sort of looked off to the side of the camera and had just a slight smirk on her face. So the beauty of this story is in the ambiguity. It really, really could go either way. The question is, I suppose, who do you trust? Who do you trust? I don't trust either of these women. But toward the end of, at the end of this series of shows, after Jack kind of kicked Kelly out of the house and had a one-on-one with Phyllis and said, it's kind of looking like you poisoned Kelly. I had a talk with the doctor and I think you need some help. And it was after Phyllis had a little violent reaction where she knocked over a vase and cut her hand. And the fact that all signs are pointing to Phyllis makes me want to think that it's Kelly. But at this point, Phyllis had kind of a breakdown moment where she's wondering, maybe I am doing this. Maybe it is the drugs. Maybe I do need help. And Jack has vowed to help her get that help and stand by her and all of this. And I just wouldn't be surprised if the next thing we see is a maniacal Kelly laughing off in the corner, because not only is the beauty here of not knowing who's done it, but if Kelly did pull this off, she's caused Jack to mistrust Phyllis, and maybe even more of a one-up than anything else. Phyllis has stopped trusting herself. My trust for Joe has just flown right out the window. There was a conversation early in the week after Dylan got beat up. Joe shows up at Victor's office, and that conversation did not leave me convinced that he's innocent of having Dylan beat up. I think Joe totally hired those goons to beat up Dylan, and we saw also a scene of him in the park paying some guy, presumably to be making these harassing phone calls to Dylan. So Joe is not a good guy, and he's apparently not to be trusted. If it was just making harassing phone calls, I suppose that would be one thing, but hiring people to beat him up is not cool. It's not right. I mean, none of it's right, but I like 2 weeks ago when he lured Avery into his hotel room and locked the door behind him, I just got a weird feeling. I felt unsafe. Like, I thought, ooh, Avery, you better get out of there. Something about it just seems dangerous to me. And I feel that way again now. I wonder if Y&R is just bringing Joe in as a short-term villain, which is really disappointing because I think I'd like to see more of him. I mean, I'd really, really like to see more of him. Y&R needs to turn that around. If he hadn't done something violent, that's what I don't like, if he had Dylan beat up. Because really, at the end of the day, it's smarter if what Joe is doing is trying to get Dylan to self-destruct on his own. Because this week, Dylan's kind of at the end of his rope, and oh, guess what? He goes and gets a gun, which can't be good. It just can't be good. It makes Dylan look so dark. There was this scene of him standing behind the bar at Crimson Lights with a gun, and he just looked like that guy's got problems. I mean, we know he's got PTSD, and he's been pushed to the edge on every single level. Avery ends up busting into Joe's hotel room and tells him, this has to stop. I know you're the one behind all of this, and you need to cut it out. And Joe starts going all indecent proposal on her, almost suggesting like, well, you know what I want, you know what's gonna stop this, like if you give yourself to me, I'll leave him alone, which is so seedy and just icky. And sure enough, he's pulling that whole vibe with her when Dylan kicks down the door. Yeah, Dylan is an interesting character. He's brute force man. Let's just call him brute force man. He kicks down the door and finds them in there together, and you know an argument's gonna ensue. And I saw from the previews of next week's show, Avery's saying something to Joe like, "Don't incite him. He's got a gun." I don't know. Is Dylan gonna shoot Joe? I hope not. Is Avery gonna end up getting shot? I don't know. They didn't introduce a gun for no reason any more than they introduced Hillary's birth control pills for no reason. Sage shows up at Nick's front door with a old yearbook, and she's chitty-chatting it up with him, and they're laughing and having hot cocoa and being fun. But it's a Faith weekend. Nick this is his night. I don't know if it's a weekend, but this is his night with Faith. So Sage shows up at the door while Faith is upstairs. Faith knows exactly what's going on. Faith takes one look at Sage and wants to throw the hot chocolate right all over her. I mean, it is Avery all over again. That child knows that her daddy has a wandering eye, and if his eye ain't on mommy, it's definitely on this other brunette lady. So Faith ain't having it. It was real awkward. I mean, I don't know. There was a talk earlier in the week where Adam told Sage to keep it up, keep getting close to Nick. That's what we need. And if you got to use your womanly ways to do it, then do it. I don't know. I think Sage genuinely enjoys Nick's company, and there's a part of me that thinks, yeah, they'd be kind of a cute couple. I'm still team Nick and Sharon, but I don't know. They're kind of cute together. In soaps, you just can't be so, like, staunch on a couple because they're all going to break up eventually. So I'm thinking maybe Sage actually does like Nick and does enjoy his company, and yeah, it's helpful that she can get information, and whatever relationship they're building now is going to get all blown up when the truth about Adam comes out, and the fact that she's been helping Adam and lying to Nick. So any relationship that Nick and Sage are building now is completely temporary. It's completely going to be blown apart, and he'll probably go back running back to Sharon, which is good for Sharon and Nick fans. Or maybe he'll run in some other direction. I don't know, but it was kind of fun to see them laughing and talking together. Of course, Sharon walks in and sees them there, and Sharon knows the same as Faith. Like, if there's something, if he's with another woman, it's probably going to turn into something romantic because Nick can't be single for longer than a day. But Nick is real mean to Sharon, kind of kicks her out, and Sage ends up kind of overhearing and some divorce and custody nastiness. And Faith is not wanting to give up. There's this point where Sage accidentally spills water on her clothes. Oh no, a vase full of water. We better get you out of those clothes and get those clothes into a dryer. I mean, we cannot have you a little damp. It is just not safe to be damp in these Midwest winters. I mean, you could just die. So Nick gets her out of her clothes, gets her clothes into the dryer, and so she's walking around Nick's house in Nick's robe on a Faith weekend or on a Faith night. And I did think it was inappropriate. Like, I get where Nick is coming from on the one hand, and he did actually confide or sort of try to explain the situation with Faith to Sage by saying that, you know, she kind of is jealous and she wants her parents to be together, and she's really hating me right now, but the truth is it was her mom that did the really horrible thing that broke us up, and I don't want to make her hate her mom by telling her that. So Nick is trying to protect his child by not telling her the truth. All the meanwhile, it's making Faith hate him. So that was really awkward. But I don't know. I just thought it was inappropriate for. I mean, not that he can't have friends or whatever, but I don't know. His priority should have been to Faith. And he even said, you know, there was a scene when he was talking to Sage where he actually said out loud, Sharon is a good mom. That's a quote. He said Sharon is a good mom. Well, if Sharon is a good mom, then what are you doing all this for anyway? Why are you trying to take custody? Just share the freaking custody and move on with your lives. If you don't want to be together, that's fine. But, I thought it was kind of like, why are you going to let Faith be up in her bedroom while you're entertaining this other lady friend? It's not necessary. You don't need to add this to this layer of emotion to the mix. Just be like, Sage, I'll see you later. Let's do this on a non-Faith night. Maybe I'm not going to have my lady friend over here while my child's here. I don't know. Faith pulled another stunt where she called Sharon. Sharon showed up and whatever. It incited another argument, and it kind of came on the heels of Sharon's follow-up conversation with Chelsea, where for the second time, Chelsea tells Sharon, look, if you want custody of your child, you're going to have to fight dirty. I understand that you don't want to fight dirty because there's a part of you that's still hoping you and Nick will get back together, but if you go easy on him, that's going to end up costing you your daughter. So you need to get it together and do what you got to do. And I imagine that's what we're going to see next week. I don't know what information Sharon even could possibly have on Nick, but I imagine she's going to do what she got to do. Surprisingly, I really connected in with Adam and Chelsea this week. Considering it's a recast, and I have not been a huge Chelsea fan, I do feel that there is a chemistry between Adam and Chelsea, and I enjoyed seeing them together this week alone for kind of the first time. And not only just Adam and Chelsea alone, but alone as a family, Adam and Chelsea and Connor. And they were talking and, well, you know what? I think actually there were two scenes. The first one, or maybe that was last week. Oh no, it's all mixing together. But Connor out loud said the word daddy. And Billy walks in and assumes that Connor was talking about him, and that's not the case. Connor knows exactly who his father is, and Adam is right in the room, whether anyone knows it or not. Billy is understandably not liking how much Gabriel is spending time with Chelsea and tries to find a way to get Gabriel to stop going to Chelsea for things he doesn't need to, but he doesn't stop. Adam is kind of stopping by Chelsea's studio quite a bit, and I enjoyed hearing them talk to one another. Not only did I enjoy them talking about her husband, her ex-husband, or, her late husband, I enjoyed them talking about her passion as a designer. I think it was cool to get that insight into Chelsea, into her frame of mind about everything that's happened to her up until this point, how she was right, she was in love with Adam, and she was right in the middle of this horrible situation when Delia died, right in the middle of her love for Adam and everyone else's hatred for him. And they also talked about how, even Gabriel said something like I'm sure he's out there somewhere as a tortured soul. And there was sort of this implication that Adam was out there as a ghost wandering the earth with unfinished business, because he never got to say goodbye to Chelsea. She never got to say goodbye to him. The whole issue, everything surrounding Adam's death, was so fast and so unfinished. And I really appreciated that vision, or that analogy, of Adam wandering the earth as a lost soul. And that's almost what it is. This is Adam's torture. This is his punishment for what he believes he did. He's forced to watch life go on without him. He's forced to watch his family go on, his wife move on, his son grow up, and he can't do anything about it. This is as close as it can be to him being able to do anything about it. And I thought there was something kind of poetic and almost spiritual about that. I thought it was a good conversation. I enjoyed the follow-up conversation where Chelsea was talking to Adam about her career and what she wants it to be and what inspires her. And it was almost like these two people were getting to know each other all over again for the first time. And it was a good thing to watch. I'm wondering at this point, because they were sort of getting close, and Chelsea pulled away really quickly and told Gabriel that maybe he shouldn't come to her private studio anymore. I mean, they weren't getting physically close, but they were talking and connecting, and clearly on a personal level. And I think she kind of panicked and told him, and is remembering everything Billy said in the back of her mind, and told Gabriel, you shouldn't come here. This is kind of my private space. If we're going to conduct Jabot business, we should do it at Jabot. So let's go to my office from now on. And so he did. He complied, and Adam walked away. And I'm sure he felt like, oh no, maybe that was a failure. But it was a victory. I think that Chelsea has decided to move on with her life with Billy, and in that moment with Gabriel, I think she found herself connecting with another man, and in fact reconnecting with her husband. Lauren tells Jill this week that Michael has cancer, and that was a very difficult thing for Lauren to reveal. I was glad that she finally came clean. Lauren needs someone to talk to about this. I think that everybody wants to support the cancer patient, but there is also a level of support that we need to pay to the spouses too, because it's so much to go through. It's so much to handle. And I think Lauren needs her sister there, as hard as it is still for me to accept that they're sisters. I think Lauren needs someone, and Jill's exactly that. One thing that was interesting to me was that Lauren said, I don't think that they've said this before, but Lauren did mention to Jill that stage 3 prostate cancer has a 100% survival rate. Did I hear that right? she said 100%. Like, what I took away from it was, oh, well, everybody kind of lives from this. I don't know anything about it, but I should look that up. But my takeaway was everybody kind of lives. The real problem is in the treatment, and Lauren revealed to Jill that, you know, Michael's afraid he's not going to be able to be a man. They're all always kind of skirting around that, but he's afraid his stuff ain't gonna work no more. And I wonder if, I guess that's where the story is, and not in a Michael's death thing, which I'm so glad about. I mean, obviously I want Michael to survive, but then at the same time, it was weird that Michael had a meeting with Kevin this week where he asked Kevin to be the executor of his will. So on the one hand, we've got, and by the way, I did enjoy how Kevin's reaction to that Kevin was struggling with. Michael's always the strong one. Michael's the responsible one. And now I'm needing to be the responsible one. I don't know how to handle that. I don't know what to do with that. So I thought that was great, but it's creating kind of an interesting dichotomy, because on the one hand we've got Lauren saying that everything's going to be okay, and then we've got Michael planning for the worst. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that this is actually that it's good, that Michael's going to survive it. I think that's just about all I have energy for this week, but I did want to say that I don't remember which show it was, maybe Wednesday's show. I saw Y&R put up a title card at the end of the show that said, "In loving memory of Bo Kaiser," and I thought that was really nice. I had gotten a voicemail from Gary, I don't know if it was this week or the week before, but, you know, he was saying that he didn't want Brock's death to be written into the story, and that something like this title card is more appropriate. And maybe it is, because there's just been so much death this year. I mean, would it really serve anything to kill Brock? I mean, maybe let's believe Brock is still alive. Maybe that's a better thought, a kinder thought anyway. Let's believe that Brock is still out there helping people throughout the world. I think that's a nice thought, and maybe a nice note to end on too. I'm sorry, I haven't gotten to comments the last couple of weeks, but I'm totally reading, totally listening, and actually your comments have cheered me up a lot this week, as I've not been feeling good. I feel the love and I appreciate it. So please keep them coming. I love hearing from you. You can call and leave me a voice comments at area code 309-588-4569, or you can always leave them on the YouTube video, or you could go to Facebook or Twitter or yrchat.com. There's lots of ways to contact me, and I'm hoping that next week I'm going to be in much better health and much better spirits, and coming back in full force to talk about all of the amazingness that is Y&R. I love it right now. I'm back in. I mean, I'm back in like a real way, in a way where it's hitting the spot. These business storylines are hitting the spot, and I hope that all that gets expanded on next week. Okay, you guys, I love you, and I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and you guys stay healthy too. Avoid this